All right. So, just a disclaimer before we begin. Some of you may be new, some of you may be here every single month, which is awesome. I definitely see some familiar faces, so that's really good to see. Take it or leave it. As anything that we talk about, please take it or leave it. Right now, we are in this time that is so tumultuous, even for the Galactic Federation. We're in this very tumultuous time. And the reason why I call it tumultuous is based on the timeline looping and the timeline hopping that we're going through as a collective. I've gone up there, and sometimes they have a difficult time pinning down what timeline we are currently on and what that direction and what that flow is. So really, truly take everything that I channel, everything that the Galactic Federation says with a grain of salt. It is meant to help us evolve. It's not meant to bring you fear. It's not meant to keep you stuck. It's meant to allow you to move forward. And sometimes giving us the information of this is absolutely going to happen or this absolutely isn't going to happen, that doesn't allow us to evolve. Sometimes when we know it all or we have all the information, we become complacent. And we definitely don't need that complacency going into the next couple of years. So just kind of being aware of that take or leave anything, but especially right now, especially when we're talking about the future, especially when we're talking about 2021, there needs to be zero attachment to the information they have, because we all need to realize that this information changes rapidly from moment to moment. Okay, so please, for everyone's sake, grain of salt. Also, I do not prepare for these meetings. For most of the Galactic Federation Q&As that I have on YouTube, I'm always prepared. I know exactly what their responses are. Typically, I have a page printed. But for these Galactic Federation meetings, I have no idea who's going to show up. I have no idea what they're going to say. I have no idea, which is great because I get to learn something too. But I do have questions. So my intention for today I don't know where you guys are in the world, but on the first day of the new year, my intention for all of us is to really get clear and to get aligned to 2021. What do we need to know to become aligned in the highest vibration to the new year? I just want to be prepared. And then the second intention that I have for today is I really want to understand both agendas. I want to understand truly, and maybe fill in some gaps for myself and all of you about what is that New World Order agenda. I want to get into the shit that I'm not allowed to say on YouTube, right? This is why this is the perfect meeting, right? It's to get really deep dive into the stuff that, I would probably be censored for on YouTube. So what are those agendas? What is the Galactic Federation agenda in depth, and what is the New World Order agenda in depth? And a couple of my questions are, what does the Galactic Federation think about 2020? Is there anything else we need to know about 2020 before we move on to the new year? The agendas, I want to know all the things about all the agendas, the entire overview. What do we need to know about the agendas? Specifically, how do we navigate the elite's agenda, the New World Order agenda? Clearly, they're pushing harder than ever before. The GFL has told us that they're pushing harder than ever before. What do we need to know about that? Also, what do we need to know about the vaccine? I've been clearly very passionate recently about just holding the frequency that we are energy beings, that we can override any physical thing with our vibration energy. And that's been something very passionate that I've been ranting about. So I know that that is the highest proof, but at a more physical, tangible, boots on the ground, what do we need to know about the vaccine? Because that's a part of the New World Order agenda. And then my other question here is, how do we fight? That's what I want to know. How do we fight? It's not a time to be complacent. It is a time to take action, but there's so many things that we could do. I've signed all the petitions online. I've been to the riots and the rallies and the protests. Does that really change anything? What does the Galactic Federation want us to know about how we should fight? Yeah. Okay. And then the last question that I have, but I'm sure there'll be more questions coming up because I just ask as we go, is where are we at with the reptilian battle, right? And we'll talk to our good friend Sasha, who is a reptilian rebel leader, and we'll see what she says about the whole reptilian agenda and the battle that's going on behind the scenes. All right, you guys ready? Ready to get this party started? Yeah. All right. Okay, just 1 second. Let's just kind of open up the channel. Let's see who wants to step through for the first question, which is, what else do we as humanity need to know about 2020? Let's just start it off with an easy question. 1 second, everyone. Interesting. Okay. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay, cool. So the being that came to me was really just the group of the Galactic Federation Palladian Security Council. So my bros up there. And of course, they're the ones to come. They are the overview, really, of the security measures and matters here on planet Earth. So I went to them, asking them, what do we need to know about 2020? And it was so beautiful. Freaking loved it. Of course, as you guys should know by now, everything that I channel is a visual. So I'll try and explain the visual. Okay, hold on. Okay, so the first thing that they showed me is, okay, imagine this. Imagine a straight line, and imagine that straight line being our timelines. Okay, the linear timeline, past, present, future, and of course it takes space to move through time, time to move through space. What they showed me, the first image that they showed me in 2020 was, and this is how they've actually showed me how space travel works, okay, is what we did as a humanity is we folded our timelines. It's really hard to explain, but hopefully you get it. So if we start here, okay, start line, and we want to end at the finish line, instead of having to move through time and space to get to the finish line, we just fucking folded it, and we arrived at the finish line right at the beginning, if that makes sense. Yes, there was still time involved because we went through a whole year of the chaotic clusterfuck of this past year, right? But we folded the timelines. This is a very, very, very positive thing that we did. And it feels like, as far as like a timeline of when we folded the timelines, yes, this is what they told me. Okay. This is really interesting. I asked them, I said, okay, so we folded the timelines, which means that we made a quantum leap, you guys. We made a quantum leap in 2020. Yeah. And this is brilliant. And I said, but don't we need the majority of humanity's conscious awareness to make a quantum leap? Right? I mean, of course. Don't we need that? And this is what they said. They said that at a deep level, there has been a stirring, okay, in a very subconscious way for the majority of the humans on this planet. And I said, but what created the stirring? And they also said that the words that came with the stirring, and we can say that's just really questioning, right? A stirring within their core. It's like, the words that came through was, this isn't right. Something's not quite right here. Now, I don't know about you guys, but like I woke up to a lot of this stuff back in 2010, 2011, 2012. I woke up to reptilians rule the government, holy shit, child sex trafficking, just all of it, all of the corruption, all of the lies, all of the projection, all of the HARP and the weather manipulation, all of it, right? And it was just this overwhelm. And all of a sudden in that moment, I'm like, this isn't right. This is all an illusion. This is all a lie. So all of a sudden, we've got this subconscious stirring within the majority of the population thinking this isn't right, but they don't know what's wrong about it. And I asked the Galactic Federation, I said, when did this get started? When did we get the majority of the population thinking to themselves, something's not quite right here? And the funniest thing, I think it's funny anyway, is they brought up Trump, freaking Trump's face right in my face. And I'm like, of course, this all got started, this deep subliminal stirring of something's not quite right here got started 4 years ago, I guess, when Trump got into office, because he was the beginning of the end of the system as we know it. And I think whether you love him or hate him, we can all agree on that, right? And we can all celebrate the fact that he chose to be the beginning and the end of the system as we know it. Fantastic. Thank you. You know, we needed someone to do that. We needed a buffoon of a human to do that. And I do believe that he kind of knew a lot more than he let on. So in the average 3D individual on planet Earth, something started 4 years ago to say, this isn't right, and how did we get here? So what that means is the questioning of the norm of reality of what's been presented to us started in the majority of the population 4 years ago. Do you want to know what happens when we start to question the foundation of this reality? We start to change it. We start to ask for truth. If something's not quite right here, if there's something more than this, then what is that more? What more is there? What is the truth? If this is kind of an illusion because this doesn't make sense to me, then I want the truth. So at a deep subconscious level, if we have the majority of the population not really sure about the current reality that's being projected to us, then we're starting to ask questions and we're starting to seek out truth. And all of a sudden, we are making huge quantum leaps in the year of 2020 because the stirring started 4 years ago, right? So very interesting. So 2020 was literally a year of quantum leaping. And this is not the primary projected timeline that the Galactic Federation knew about. This was definitely a timeline that they had their eyes on because they're kind of viewing all of these different timelines simultaneously, and they've got really cool equipment and technology to do that. But this one was not the main one, which I find really exciting, really exciting. And what did they say? They said it was like almost between June and September where we started to quantum leap. There was something there that excelled the leaping of that. And, you know, and we could talk about probably things all day, but I don't think it matters exactly what that was. But it is important to understand where that came from initially. And it was Trump. Let's just say it. Okay, cool. All right. So I want to ask them, is there anything else that we need to know about 2020? Is there anything else that we need to know about 2020? Okay, 1 second. Okay. Okay, cool. So they're bringing up this concept. It's really important to talk about. This is not going to be only a concept in 2020, but this is going to be a concept moving into 2021 for sure for the starseeds and light workers. And it's going to be a concept that moves into 2022 and 2023 and probably 2024 for the rest of the world. I've made mention to this concept in my videos before, but they're bringing it up again. And like I said, it's important. This is something that you want to write down. 2020 was a year of revisiting timelines. It was a year of revisiting timelines. And I'm actually just going to make a note of that. Okay, so what happened in 2020, and it wasn't necessarily, it had to happen in 2020. This just has to happen before we ascend into a new vibrational frequency, no matter what. No matter where you are, in order to move into 5D frequency, crystalline energy, Christ consciousness, and beyond, we need to do this. We need to revisit all timelines that are stuck or that are not aligned to our highest vibrational potential. I've talked about this before, but they're bringing this up again, okay? And that's shadow work, guys. That's what it is. Oh, shit, there's my ego. You know, oh, shit, there's my limiting belief. Oh, shit, there's my repeated pattern. We've got to do it. We've got to take a look at it. Oh shit, there's my inner child. Oh, that's my hurt, traumatized self. Oh, that's a past lifetime. Okay, so I'm going to take this one step forward. 2020 was a year of revisiting timelines, and we had the time, no pun intended, to do that with quarantine. And I'm very grateful for that. For those of us, and definitely myself included, has some work to do on this, who has not fully done the work in revisiting all the timelines, the beautiful Palladian Security Council has a suggestion for us. And it's amazing. They are saying that we can quantum leap through our timelines by doing certain things. We can quantum leap through the cathartic process of healing the traumatized aspects of ourselves through space and time instantaneously through blank. Now, there's a variety of ways that we can do this. Okay, so if you were to not focus on this, not focus on timeline healing, let's call it, okay? And that's just looking at your baggage and neutralizing the baggage. So everything that I've been talking about is like all encompassed within this, in the last couple of months. Reviewing the timelines, reviewing the baggage, reviewing the attachments, the paradigms, all of that. So organically, we can move through life, and naturally the universe, your higher self, will bring you through the shit that you have to release. You stub your toe, you have a reaction. The reaction's way bigger than the stubbing of the toe, and you're releasing some sort of rooted trauma by having that reaction, right? And we're all kind of going through that. There's a way that we can override the organic process, and we can do this in a quantum way. And I believe that moving forward, all the techniques, all the healing, everything is going to be quantum. And all I mean by that is without space and time, instantaneously. Just like this event right now, it's quantum, without space and time. You guys are in all places of the world, all timelines of the world, and here we are, right? So the things that they brought to me, and I was pretty surprised, but here are the things. Guys, take them or leave them. Please just don't go rush out and do all the things, all right? Focus on yourself. Figure out what feels right to you. All right, first thing that they brought through was, believe it or not, plant medicine. They haven't really brought up plant medicine a whole lot, okay? Plant medicine allows us, in some regard, like I said, it's a door, it's not the end of the journey, but it allows us to have those breakdowns, to see those aspects of ourselves, to relive past lifetimes, to go through those kind of steps that we have to go through, but like it smacks you in the face and it forces you to face it all then and there. Okay? So plant medicine is one direction, one way that we can have a quantum healing of our timeline. The other thing that they brought up was regressions, quantum hypnosis regressions. I am going to come out in 2021 with my past life regression quantum healing past life book that they've given me as well. It's next level. And then I'm also going to be releasing past life regression or regression tapes. So that's coming from me, but you guys can do your own guided meditations and regression techniques. You can regress yourself, or some sort of guided meditation in another place as well is going to kind of help you get there. So they mentioned that. And then they really just also said your focus. So if you took 1 hour of every week moving forward to just sit and to hash out your fears, to sit and hash out your childhood traumas, to sit and just focus on some timelines, to sit and just feel out where you've been in past lifetimes, you're giving yourself the container to explore that energy, and that allows for the quantum cathartic simultaneous feeling that we all need. We can go about our daily lives and have it organically be presented to us so that we release it in that moment, but that does take more space and time rather than we being proactive about it and confronting it without getting prompted. Okay, there's a difference there. How fast do you want to move through your shit? How much focus are you going to put to it? It's as simple as that. Okay. Good. Thank you guys for telling us that. That was great. I just want to ask them one more time. Anything else we need to know and take from 2020? Because it was a very momentous year. And of course, we're going to break down all the time, or not the timelines, but the agendas and what's going on too. But I want to see if there's any other like golden nuggets that we can take from 2020. 1 second. Yeah, 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 yeah. Ooh. Okay. 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 This is very interesting. I'm still talking to the Galactic Federation Palladian Security Council. What a freaking long name. Like, I need to come up with an acronym. All right. So, hold on. I just totally lost it. I have to get it back. 1 second. Oh, yes. Okay. I want you all to think to yourself right now, and maybe you want to answer this question after the event. How confident do I feel in humanity? How confident do I feel in humanity? And, you know, I think all of the yelling and the ranting that I've done in a couple of the past videos, I think that's really allowed a lot of you a breath of fresh air, a little bit of reprieve, right? And that's not, these aren't my opinions. These are freaking channeled through me, right? I mean, I would be freaking out as a human being at 28 years old too if I didn't have this information, right? So there's no projection of optimism. It just is what it is. So this is what the GFL said. Okay, so they said that based on the individual's perception of humanity at the end of 2020 is a mere reflection on their own individual understanding of how powerful they are themselves. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? So if you're like, fuck, you know, shit's only going to get worse and society's going to collapse and it's pretty bad and the agendas and the mask wearing and then the mandatory vaccines and now I can't travel and I don't have my freedoms, right? When you're stuck in that, you're stuck within yourself. Your perception of how strong humanity is and where humanity's at is a direct correlation and mirror to how strong you believe you are. Your strength, your abilities, your consciousness is determined solely by your belief within yourself. That's it. Now, the more that we have cool psychic abilities and weird paranormal experiences and meeting aliens and all that cool stuff, our empowerment, our confidence changes. But why is that? It's because our belief is getting validated. But it still comes back to the equation of it's your belief. That's it. Your belief in humanity mirrors your belief within yourself. It goes back to Neo in the Matrix. Are you going to be Neo and are you going to jump the building because you believe that you're fucking powerful enough to do that? And you believe in humanity? Like, I mean, I am so in belief of humanity. For most of the people out there, 2020 freaked everyone out. And they're in so much more fear than they've ever been before. 2020 for me, on the other end of that scale, has shown me how powerful humanity is. 2020 has shown me how powerful I am in my ability to receive information and present it. There's a mirroring that's going on. So please check your belief, check your alignment within humanity, because that mirrors your belief and your alignment within yourself. If you're scared as fuck right now for the future, then you're keeping yourself small. There is no other way to get around that. And if you're keeping yourself small, then you're not stepping into your mission and you're not helping the collective advance. So what I recommend is you separate yourself from everything and everyone else, go through your own little mini quarantine and figure out how to re-empower yourself and understand how strong and how beautiful and how incredible you are as a soul. We have to let go of the infiltration of all of the perceptions and projections in order to find that inner strength. Okay? So I think that's a brilliant point that the Galactic Federation brings up, is the belief in humanity is mirroring the belief in yourself. Stop focusing on the belief in humanity if you're fearful of it, and focus on your own belief in yourself. Okay? Okay. I'm going to ask one more time, maybe two more times, I don't know. I'm going to ask until they tell me there's no other information that we need to know about 2020. But I think that this is a very important concept. Then we'll break down the agendas. So 1 second. Exactly. Okay, cool. Yep. Another thing here, it all circulates around belief. It all circulates around belief. What we believe in is what we focus in. What we focus in is what we create. It's everything. It's everything. So they brought up the example of Trump versus Biden. They brought up the example of polarity, right? 2020 has shown us how polarized we are within the spiritual communities and how polarized we are in general in society, which I think most of us already knew. So what they said, and if you haven't come to this point yet, it's time to really come to this point, or else you are really wasting your time and energy. And that's what they said. We need to get to the belief, the realization, the knowing, the straight up knowing that focusing our intention on what is right and what is wrong, focusing our intention on the polarity within society is a waste of time and energy. There's no way to beat around the bush. There's no way to sugarcoat that. It is a waste of time and energy. If you're focusing on Trump versus Biden, you're wasting your time and energy. You're wasting your precious ability to manifest anything. Moving forward into 2021, only focus on the highest intention. You need to realize that 2021 showed us that anything else other than these high up concepts of freedom and peace and abundance and whatever, okay? Anything other than those high concepts is a waste of time, and it's a feeding into the illusion. Anything within polarity is feeding illusion. Do you want to feed into the illusion? Or do you want to maintain that high level approach? That's what 5D is all about, is being above it all and playing the linear game when we want to. Okay? So if you are still yet at a place where you're reacting to anything that's polarized, or anything that's conspiracy, or anything that you think is right or wrong, let it go right now. Let it go right now. We need to know about the dark side. We need to know about the light side, but we can't get stuck within either end. Okay? Let it all go. It's a waste of time feeding into the illusion and the projection. Okay, great. Okay, I feel a pretty good conclusion actually with that statement. And like I said, these are all things that they've been kind of running through me for the past couple of months, but that's just one more question on 2020. Okay. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right, one more thing, then we're going to break down the agendas, and I'm very excited to bring through. Already in my shower today, beings were coming at me, and I'm like, whoa, guys, like it's like an hour and a half away. Like, can you just leave me to my shower? Like, that'd be cool. All right, one more thing. When I asked the Palladian Council again, anything else for 2020, they gave me a very clear image of a turtle or a tortoise, and specifically for whatever reason, it's like the back of the turtle. Doesn't matter. It's just like, okay. And what did they say? Oh yeah. So it's kind of like the saying of, the tortoise and the hare, right? Everyone know that, I don't know, story. Us as star seeds and light workers, we're the turtle. That's what we are. We're going to win the race, but we can't rush it. And what they brought me instantly with that image of the turtle is, and I'm sure all of you, myself included as a human, we're kind of all in this place. If a concept gets brought up to you, like, ooh, maybe it's an issue in your romantic relationship, and you're seeing the issue as is, don't just deal with it and move on. Really sink into it. Really focus on it. Really ask yourself those questions in the moment. What the Palladian Security Council is saying is that a lot of us are trying to rush through the process of setting up our foundations within our own spirituality and our own personal development and growth. We're rushing through it. And then that means that, okay, you deal with relationship stuff here, but you only put a Band-Aid on it because you wanted to rush through it and you wanted to move on. And then 3 months later, the same exact issue comes up again because you didn't fully sink into it. You didn't fully surrender into it, okay? It's okay to be slow. In some ways, things are moving rapidly, moving forward into the future. And in some ways, we are really being taught to have patience and to be slow in the areas that we need to be slow in, especially when focusing on the new spiritual alignments and foundations within ourselves. Okay, so really important. Awesome. Thank you, Palladian Security Council. As always, your insights are always appreciated. Let's move on to the agendas. Let's just go to straight up the agenda overview. I have talked a little bit about both agendas, but let's see if we can get someone else to come through and relay those messages. 1 second. Interesting. Okay. Okay, cool. Okay, so I have an Octurian being here. Very beautiful, very old, wise, ancient, calming energy, blue skin, big eyes. He's actually come through, I think, once before on these Galactic Federation summits. His name is G. That's all he gave me in the past. And he comes through with an image. And I want to relay this. I don't know. It's sometimes it's just easier with images. I'm not sure. Hopefully this is easier. Don't mind my artistic abilities. All right. Okay. This is about the timelines. Hopefully you guys can see this. Perfect. Okay. It shows up. All right. Okay. So this is what G brings me. This is what this Octurian being brings me. So G is on a council within the Galactic Federation surrounding timelines. And based on 2012 and the splitting, the collapsing of the old timeline that we knew, and then hopping into 2 parallel timelines, being the 3D one and the 5D one, and we'll just call them that for now because it's easy. So I asked him right now as to where are we at with the timelines. This is what he gave me. Okay. So 3D timeline, 5D timeline. Right now they look almost identical. So this main line, okay, in the middle, is the biggest timeline. This is the full 5D timeline. This is the full 3D timeline, okay? Branching off of each timeline are these little other mini timelines, okay? And what he was trying to explain, and I'll get more information from him, he said that both the 3D and 5D timelines are so simultaneous and so parallel. Now, we're in a time right now, especially for the next 3 years, right, in that 4-year timeline until 2024, where we're hopping at an individual and collective level back and forth between 3D and 5D. Now, many channelers, many light workers have said, well, the light has already won. And to be honest, yeah, we have. So if you take a look and you skip ahead into like a 5-year timeline or a 10-year timeline, it's all 5D, right? We can see it. It's all 5D. Moving into the next couple of years, we're still hopping collectively and individually between 3D and 5D, 3D and 5D. So when we take a look at the timelines right now, they're both going strong, which is very impressive because it's been that 3D timeline that's been going strong since the dawning of humanity, especially the downfall of humanity. So it's really nice to see how strong the 5D timeline is. What G was explaining was any one of these, hopefully you can see it, okay, circling the ends of the mini timelines. If something were to happen in a mini timeline in the 3D energy, it can shoot us into a new propelling of a brand new 3D timeline altogether. So that being said, it's almost impossible right now at this time to determine what that solid state is going to be for 2021. So I think that what we can do is we can go to the high level agendas. Hey, this is what the elites are planning. We kind of already know. This is what the GFL is planning. We kind of already know. But let's see if we can get maybe some markers of the different timelines. Oh, we know that we're in 5D timeline if disclosure happens by March, or whatever the things may be. I don't know how much they can tell us or in what ways they can tell us, because this is a group of very conscious and highly aware individuals who can also shift the timelines quite easily. And then, of course, my question is, how do we shift the timelines? What can we do to shift the timelines? What should we know to shift the timelines and that kind of stuff? So let's go back to G. Let's ask him a little bit more about the timelines and the splitting of the realities moving into 2021. So just 1 second. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Yeah. So interesting. Okay, this is really cool. When I'm taking a look at the nefarious agenda and basically their timelines, it's very difficult. I saw this maybe about 6 months ago when I tried to look at their agenda as well. And I don't know if it was in a GFL video. Maybe it was G who said this. I don't really truly remember what I channeled. So what G was saying was kind of hard to explain. The elites, the bad guys, the reptilians of the world, okay, the bad reptilians, let's just differentiate. They are throwing purposely the Galactic Federation through a loop so that they are focusing on ulterior timelines that are just projections. Like, it's really, to be honest, like, kudos to the elites, because these reptilian beings, they're really trying to just throw us for a loop, the Galactic Federation. So, like I mentioned, right, like, one of these timelines, if the circle, right, if it's circled, these little like jutting out timelines, if it's circled, it means all of a sudden something happened in that branch of a timeline to affect the bigger timelines. What the elites are doing is they're playing with the branches. So then all of a sudden G and the Arcturian Timeline Council of the Galactic Federation is now focused on, oh, well, because they did this, this is what's going to happen, and this is their plan. But really, they're like, oh, we're just faking it, and we're actually doing this over here. So then I had to ask G, I said, how do you get around that? like what I'm taking a look at, they have a technology. It literally looks like an orb of timeline. I call it a timeline technology. This technology can take a look at all of the infinite number of timelines, but it can only look at one potential timeline at a time, right? Which is why the elites are throwing the GFL for a loop, so that all of their processing power is focused on the wrong thing. It feels like I'm looking at a supercomputer. It feels like I'm looking into a quantum computing is really what it looks like. Anyway, it's like, I'm like nerding out here, but, so then I asked G, I said, how do you get around that? And his response was, boom, right away. He said, we have Galactic Federation members on the inside, and the only way to get real intel and real info is from the boots on the ground, the human beings who are part of the Galactic Federation, who are in these meetings of the elite, who are grabbing as much intel of, hey, they're saying that they're doing this, but they're actually doing this on the other side. Then they can account for that. But even them on the inside aren't being given all the pieces of the information, right? So very fascinating. Okay, let's see what else we can get from G here. 1 second. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So this actually kind of leads me into my question of like, how do we fight? But he's going right to it. 2021 and for the next like 2 or 3 years, as I mentioned, the 2020 to 2024 timeline, it's all about like this. The image that I saw was like, one day there will be technology for me to project my thoughts. The image that I saw, the image that G gave me was taking 8 billion people and making us smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. They're fitting us all into this container of fear, so that at the end of the day, we feel we have no power, that we can't create change, that we've got nothing that we can do because we're just so trapped and so fearful and so small. That's their overall plan. So if all of a sudden, okay, if all of a sudden all of humanity was scared of purple clouds in the sky, if that was our dominant fear, that all of a sudden there'd be these weird purple clouds in the sky, guess what they're going to create? They're going to create purple clouds, okay? I've said this before. I said this recently about the vaccine, and we'll talk specifically about that, but it's less about the vaccine itself. It's less about the economy and the economy crashing itself, and it's more about the perception and the fear that we hold around these things. That's what they want. They want us to be in fear because fear is what keeps us small. It's what takes away our power. They don't care how they go about doing it. That's so important, and it's very validated by G and the Arcturians. So they're going to try and penetrate us as they have with as much fear as possible. So then I asked G, I said, how do we get around this? What do we do? How do we fight? How do we move forward from here? The fear is going to be ever strong, right? Moving into 2021. All the things, the vaccines, the shutdowns, the limitations, the Orwellian society, all of that. So G said, it really truly is all about our belief. It really truly is all about our focus. It really truly is all about our consciousness. And he kind of alluded to this, but it doesn't mean that it is just it doesn't have to be the thing, okay? But he did allude to the time for the boots on the ground has passed. And I believe that the reason why the time for the boots on the ground, and what I mean is like riots and protests and signing petitions and that kind of action, the time for that has passed. I believe that the time for that has passed probably because it's very 3D. It's very, let's rally the masses together and let's go to a location and let's spend our time doing this thing. I believe that those kind of things hold us in polarity and they actually distract us more than anything. I believe that we need to continue to quarantine. Okay, let's call it a mandatory spiritual quarantine. We need to continue to quarantine until we've shed all of our old beliefs, all of our old attachments, all of our old fears. And so what G was saying is their whole agenda is to keep us in fear and to keep us small. And our greatest strength is coming together with that collective mind, that collective unity consciousness, that collective belief that we are winning. Everything is going to come at us at an individual level and at a collective level to say, you're not winning, you're worthless, you're not good enough, you don't deserve. All of that, everything you could ever possibly imagine coming up to resurface those greatest fears that we have. If you have a fear of purple clouds, guess what you're going to be confronted with in 2020? Purple fucking clouds, all right? Purge out your own limiting beliefs and fears so that you are untouchable. That's my ask. That's G's ask of all of you. Come to a place where it doesn't matter what's thrown at you. You're more powerful than that. Okay. Okay. So that kind of answers also the question, how do we fight, but also how do we navigate the elite's agenda? But let me ask specifically, let's get away from G for a sec. Let's just go back to the Galactic Federation as a whole. Let's see if there's anyone else that wants to come through about how do we navigate the elite's agenda? Yeah, there's a lot, but let's see. Yes, okay. Okay, okay, okay. Okay. This is actually something that I forgot to mention when we were talking about 2020 stuff and how do we quantum leap into cathartic healing. One thing that they did bring up was actually portals. Portals, okay, we've been talking a lot about portals and vortexes. And yeah, so essentially utilizing the portals that are freshly activated, that are freshly opened. I mean, we've got like a huge akash of information and knowledge and wisdom and just infinite stuff all around us. The more that we are kept small, the more that we are kept in self-doubt, the more that we are kept in a place of disillusion, the less we are able to attain and see the bigger picture and understand that we have the ability through asking and focus to gain access to anything we want. So who was it? It was G. It was G again who came through with the focus and the connection to vortexes and portals, and also like how do we navigate the elite's agenda. I'm sure that all of you have been awakening for quite some time. Maybe some of you just woke up this year and I'm like, wow, like welcome to the tribe, like welcome to the new reality. But for a lot of us who have been working at this for many years, we've tried all the modalities, all the healing practices, all the acupuncture, all the meditations, all the yoga practices, right? We've tried it all. This is the time to call upon it. That was just your training. This is the time to put it into action. Get your crystal wands, get your pendulums, get your vortex spots that you've been to before. Start activating the oracle cards that you have. This is the time to utilize the tools that you've gained access to, the tools that you've utilized in the past couple of years. Get them back, bring them back into your life, and start working with them at a fluid level, okay? That's what's going to help you navigate. And even G was saying that a lot of these tools are going to be null and void, maybe even in 10 years from now, because a lot of them are anchored in the old world the old frequency, the chakra system, which is old and traditional, and we're moving into something that's quantum and simultaneous. It's so different, but utilize those tools again because they're there for you. So as far as navigating, those tools, the portals, the vortexes, the crystals, the plants, the animals, whatever you've got going on in your life as tools, the practices, utilize them moving forward. But there's always an emphasis and a focus on you. There's always an emphasis and a focus on your discernment, on your ability to navigate, on your ability to choose moving forward. We cannot be subservient. We cannot be passive anymore moving into this new energy, but we're still playing the game. We're still utilizing old techniques in order to still navigate an old world, and that's okay. But we've got to be accessing that. Okay, and then also he's saying making those I am statements, or making those like, I am ready for cosmic disclosure. I am ready for upgrades. I am ready for deep cathartic past life healing. We need to start making and focusing on what we want and solidifying and anchoring that in, and then it happens. Okay, so really be aware of that. Super important. Okay, good. All right, let's see what else they have to say here. See if anyone else wants to come through. Interesting. Okay. Okay, yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Interesting. Okay. I have another really awesome Galactic Federation friend coming through here. I saw him instantly. I'm like, oh, it's you. And I forgot his name, but he reminded me of it. I believe it's Garu, Garu. I think he's only ever come through once. He is a Lyran being, so a feline type being, very, very powerful. A lot of the Lyran beings, their world was destroyed, their planet was destroyed in the Orion battles a long time ago. A lot of you are from the galactic battles that have occurred in the past. A lot of you are starseeds. A lot of you have gone through these galactic battles. Garu comes through, and it's really interesting what he's saying. Never heard this before. He's saying that there's a lot of starseeds, especially with the Galactic Federation disclosure that happened. Apparently, the UFO alien disclosure that's about to happen. I've said this before, but I'll say it again. Cosmic disclosure instantly wakes people up because it unlocks aspects of their DNA, because we're all agreeing to a standard truth, which breaks down all illusion within society, which is huge. So Garu is a Lyran who battled many lifetimes in the Orion Wars, okay, the Galactic Wars, and he's a fighter. He is a warrior. He comes through, he's like battle scarred up. He's like got this like battle gear on. Like he's a badass, basically. The OG of the badasses is him. And that's also kind of why he's quiet, because there's some trauma there. So what's really interesting is he comes through and he's saying that there's so many, and you might relate to this, there are so many starseeds and light workers who are waking up almost out of a dead sleep instantly now because of the Schumann resonance and the vibration and the disclosure. And a lot of starseeds on this planet have fought in galactic wars and galactic battles before. So, and I'll tell you how you know you're one of these people, one of these souls. If you wake up instantly, and we're definitely going to go over time, so hopefully you guys have a little bit extra time. If you wake up instantly, okay, to the truth of all that's happening, all that is on this planet, you're instantly going to go into battle mode. You're instantly going to have your gear up. You're instantly going to have your defenses up. You're instantly going to protect yourself and say, fuck you, New World Order. Fuck you, reptilian elite, right? There's going to be this like, and I felt it before in some of you, and trust me, I've been in those galactic battles before. I felt that way. When I woke up to all of this in 2010, I freaked out. Why isn't anyone talking about this? Why isn't this common knowledge? Why aren't we pissed? Why aren't we all pissed, right? Like I felt that because I've been a warrior and still consider myself to be a warrior now. And when I get some of the people who watch my videos being pissed at me, thinking that I'm laying down and signing up for the vaccines because I'm just letting it all go, that's not the case at all. So Gabru comes through and he's like, I want to speak to the light workers who are here, who are waking up, who are pissed off. Pissed. Okay? And look, I don't blame you. I've been there, right? What he's saying is, for me, waking up to all of the corruption back in 2010, I've had 10 years. Okay, my math is off. I've had 10 years to subtly integrate a higher vibrational frequency and a higher perspective. For all of these starseeds that are waking up in 2020 and moving forward, they're going to be pissed. And what he's saying is, you guys need to transmute and you guys need to do it fast, going from the hurt inner aspect of I've been through these wars before, it's not good, we need to protect, we need to defend, we need to fight, right? There's going to be that innate instinctual feeling in you of doing that. We need to get you from that to the highest frequency. We need to do that. So let me ask Gabru, how? How do we transmute that instantly? It took me years. How do we get people to do this instantly? Starseeds to do this instantly. And that was my rant not too long ago about saying, light workers, your focus is huge. Your intention is even bigger. And we need you. We need you to focus on the highest timeline. So 1 second. Yeah, 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 exactly. Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, cool. So what he brought up as well is not only are we talking about souls who have been in battle and galactic wars before, but we're also talking about all of the Lemurians and all of the Atlantean starseeds who went through the downfall of Atlantis, and you know who you are, at least you should by now, who went through the downfall of Atlantis, and maybe you took the cosmic retirement route and you're like, you know what, screw planet Earth, it's too dense for me. Atlantis, our best hope at unity consciousness, just fell. There's no more hope left, right? And so then you left this planet, and just recently, all of these Atlantean souls, all of these Lemurian souls are back to redo it and to do it right without the corruption. So he said that there's deep wounds and deep traumas in many of your souls from the past, from different experiences, and you're coming through with fears that you don't even realize you're holding on to. So I said, how do we transmute this? This is a lot of shit that we're all carrying. Like, what do we do? And this is what he said. And it was brilliant. And we're talking about the quantum level of transmutation here. You don't have to freaking write, I am sorry for the past 100 times in your notebook to overcome it. It's not linear. It's instantaneous. And I hope that just by relaying this information, that change is immediately integrated into your soul. Here it is. It's so simple. He said that all these starseeds, all these light workers, all we need to know is that what's happening right now has never been done before. Has never been done before in the entire universe. And because this has never been done before in the entire universe, what we're doing here is changing and transmuting the vibration of the entire universe. All you have to hold within your being is that this is brand new, that it's never been done before, and that we can change anything at any moment. It's like a lot of us have a chip on our shoulder, have built up subconscious resentment coming from our cosmic Akashic records based around, been here, done that, it's all going to go to shit anyway, so why bother? And I get that because I'm one of those people. I'm one of those souls who have a chip on my shoulder. This is different. You need to hold that frequency. When we hold the frequency of the fact that this is all different, that this awakening has never been done before, we open our belief system, our vibration, our souls, our infinite energy, we open that up to infinite possibilities. And we're more in wonder than we are in defense and protection. Okay? So important. Thank you, Garu. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Because he holds that chip on his shoulder too, and he knows that fight that we need. Oh yeah, and one more thing that he said too, makes so much sense. The Schumann resonance is spiking. We've got this cosmic energy that's radiating from other places in the universe, who knows where. Apparently what I've heard from the GFL is that it's organic and a little bit man-made. We'll see how it all unfolds. But we're getting hit with these higher vibrational waves. That's obvious. We can measure that. We can see that within the Schumann frequency. And what he said is that our battle, our fight, the way that we fight is up here. It's in our focus. It's in our intention. It's in here. It's in our hearts. It's in our vibration. It is not physical anymore. The more that we rally the masses for something physical, the more that we distract our resources and our capabilities to change things vibrationally. The power is and always has been in our souls, in our vibration, but now we need to act on it. I've always said that our power is in our numbers, but truly, truly, our power is in our numbers and our ability to focus on the highest timelines. Any teacher, any light worker that is teaching polarity against the highest timeline is someone who is distracting you from your own power. Once again, anytime you see, read, or take in any information that feels icky, that's the word I use, this doesn't feel right. I don't know why. You don't need to know why. It feels icky. Just let it go. Maybe you need to revisit that in 3 weeks, but let it go for that time. Don't try and figure it out. The more that you try and figure shit out, the more you're getting stuck in your own mind. The less you're focusing on the highest intentions and the highest timelines for you individually and for the collective. Okay? The war and the battle is vibrational moving forward. That's what we need to know. And it's unlike anything that we've ever been through before. So let go of your trauma. Let go of your starseed trauma. All right? Okay. All right. Okay. Let me ask, I just want to see if there's anyone else that wants to step through in the GFL about the timelines and the agenda. I also want to specifically ask about the reptilian battle and the vaccines. Let's see what needs to come through here. 1 second. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hmm. Oh, so interesting. Okay. Okay, this is very interesting. Okay, wait, I didn't even get who was sending me this information. Yeah, it's the Palladian Security Council. Okay. Okay, so this is the Palladian Security Council. It's like there's less of an emphasis on who's sending the information because we're just looking at high level stuff. And I don't know if you guys can tell, but they as a collective are, and they're all kind of on the same page with this, which I think is brilliant. They're all really avoiding specific things. And it was the Palladian Security Council who's given me this information because it's a high level overview of what we need to know regarding the vaccines and moving forward. And it's just very fascinating. I just wish I could like project this telepathically, but I know that we're also already having a telepathic conversation beyond the words. Let's just see if I can muster up the compilation of this information. Very, very powerful. 1 second. Yeah. 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 Okay. All right. So let me just say it this way. You may not like this. The vaccines are not going to be an issue. The reason why I say you may not like this is because I'm also looking at a timeline where the vaccines are mandatory and they're rolled out in a mandatory way. And yet we need to hold the frequency that they are not an issue. They just literally keep bringing me back, keep bringing me back, keep bringing me back to it's the vibration, it's the vibration, it's the fear, it's the fear. That's all they want is the fear. So we could literally unpack every single element of environmental disasters or rioting or police brutality, and we could unpack all of these elements of polarity for 2021 that are going to happen or that are most likely going to happen. But they said it's a waste of time and energy to focus on any of that stuff. So something that they brought up, and I'll just tell you the example that they brought up. Obviously, every example that comes up is significant in its own way, but I don't want you to get fearful or wrapped into this example. This is the example that they brought up. So they went from the vaccines and our perception around the vaccines, our new elevated perception around the vaccines, understanding we're vibrational beings, we can override anything. Okay, I'm like, should I tell them? Okay, it would be helpful. That's what they're saying. Okay. So I'll tell you guys, I haven't released this publicly, but this feels like an appropriate time. This is a personal thing, but it interplays with all of this. So upon getting married to my wife, I'm going through, I was like such a human, like now we're going human. Okay. Upon getting married to my wife, I'm going through the green card process. One of the things that I originally started with in having a fear around in my own personal life about the green card process in being in America is the vaccinations. So part of the process of getting the green card is you got to go in for this biometrics appointment and they scan your fingerprints and they take all your things, but you have to be vaccinated to live here and I don't know, I guess work here, whatever. If you're not vaccinated, they'll give you everything that you don't have, including a mandatory flu shot. Okay? It's like not my thing. It's just like totally not my thing. I have not gotten a flu shot since I was probably like 8 years old or whatever. So because of COVID and everything that's happened, none of the green card stuff has moved forward. No, we've gotten everything's backed up like 12 months in advance. So just 2 weeks ago, I got the documentation and my wife's like so happy and excited. Oh my God, it's moving forward. And we've got a biometrics appointment on January 7th. And I'm like, oh shit. So on January 7th, I'm getting all the vaccines and all the flu shots and all the shit. And so, I didn't really have a fear about it, but I'm like, what interesting timing. So I go to my freaking council, I go to my spirit guides, and I talk to them. And they said, you know that we did this for a reason, right? And I said, okay, cool. And they said, this is happening right now at this time. And I'm like, I like literally, I'm like in my mind, I'm like, I'm not going to tell anyone until I go through it. Obviously, I'm telling you guys beforehand. But I'm in a position where I can prove to the world, to humanity, to the people who I guess watch my content, that I can go about getting vaccinated in the right way. And I will. It's not that I have to, but it's that all of that is mandatory if I want to move forward with the green card process, right? So I'm like, you know what? I could easily say no and back down and like totally like run away from this, or I can confront it. And my guides are very clear and very positive and very high vibrational about this all was orchestrated at this exact time so that you can be the guinea pig in a way to move forward with this. I don't even know if there's going to be a mandatory COVID vaccine for people who are getting their green card for America. That might be the case too. You know what? Let me be the guinea pig. Let me go into it. I'm going to get training from them moving into January 7th, which is next week. I'm going to get training from them to go about doing this the right way. And I'm going to teach all of you what that training is, whether you want to take it or leave it. I'm just saying that that's going to be the proof for me at a human level that it's all going to work out, that it's all going to be okay, that we can override this, okay? So this is all very divine. It's all very peculiar in its own serendipitous way. But that's happening. You guys now know that that's happening next week. So I'll keep you updated. I'll let you know. But yeah, so the information coming through is that it's the fear, it's the fear, it's the fear. It's all about the fear. So what they gave me, the after the vaccine, this is the example that they gave me. All right, like I said, it's just a metaphorical example, but this is what they told me. Say, for example, one of the elite agendas is to put us all into, like literally what it looked like was like Nazi entrainment camps or whatever. Okay, camp. I don't know. Camp, like just literally like putting us into a prison. Like that's what it looked like. Imagine if that was part of the elite agenda. Okay, and they put us all into these camps. What the Palladian Security Council told me with this example is, when, not if, but when our vibrations are high enough collectively, it will be absolutely impossible for them to carry out their physical plan, because the vibration of their physical plan of putting us into these entrainment camps is not even going to be close to the vibration of the collective. So if we continue to look at the polarity and we continue to look at the fear and we continue to look at their agenda and fear their agenda, they can continue with their agenda. Do you see the weird, twisted paradox that I'm getting at here? Right? The more that we're able to see their agenda for what it is, I think a lot of the fear comes from the fear of the unknown, and then also the fear within getting surprised. Let's just say there's going to be mandatory vaccines. And when they roll out, say, all right, cool, bring it on. I'm more powerful than that. That is going to scare them. Do you know how scared they're going to get when they understand that they don't have any control over us anymore because they've just played their ace in their pocket thinking that this is going to be the thing? And there's no fear left? That's when we raise collectively. That's when we usurp all of their agendas, all of their rollouts, all of their plans. That's when they cannot progress with anything more anymore. I've noticed in my own life, pretty much since childhood, they've tried to psychically attack me in all of like I could probably write a whole book on their ways, their mechanisms, their checklist of, have we tried this? Have we tried this? No, there was no fear in her for that. No, we've tried the dream, the dream projections. She's still not afraid of that, right? They've tried all of their ways to get me down, to lower my vibration, and I'm still here. And they stop trying in that one way. If we can do that collectively and override all of their attempts collectively again and again and again, they will have to admit defeat. But the more that we focus on their agendas and their timelines and the fear, the more that they're winning. It's not about what they can get away with. It's about how we're perceiving it. There's no other way to take a look at their agenda. There's no other way to take a look at the vaccines. All right? I'm about to get a bunch of bullshit vaccines and whatever it's called. I don't know. I guess it's called vaccines. And I'm about to kind of prove to everyone that it's okay, that I'm still good at the end of the day because I did these certain things, whether you want to do them too or not, but not holding that fear. Okay. All right, let's see if there's anything else that they want to mention, and specifically anything else about the reptilian battle, about disclosure, anything else moving into 2021. One second. Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah, exactly. Okay. Yeah. Okay, great. Okay, so I'm like literally, I don't know about you guys, but like I'm having like very sharp heart pain and very sharp stomach pain. Is anyone else having weird body pains or weird symptoms like since we started this event? And comment, yeah, okay, a bunch of you, yeah. Comment in the comment section below as well if you guys are watching the recording of this. So I had to ask, I'm like, what's going on? Because it feels like I'm about to have like a freaking heart attack. And of course, the information comes through. I don't want to call them ascension symptoms. I want to call them activation symptoms. The information in this event, although it felt like it was kind of more of a story and it was kind of all over the place and it wasn't as clear and sharp and maybe tangible as some of the other Galactic Federation meetings that I've had, they are shifting aspects of us, specifically shifting the heart chakra, specifically shifting the solar plexus chakra to be more in alignment with the truth. Let's just call it that, okay? So I had to ask about the pains that I'm having because it's very recent onset in the past like 30 minutes. Okay, so that was validated. Hopefully that validates you guys too. It's activation symptoms. Okay, so then what did they say? Oh, hold on. Oh yeah. So I went to Sasha. You guys know from my other Galactic Federation events, Sasha is a beautiful reptilian woman who has a huge reptilian army. She's a positive one. And she used to show me all of the different military bases and, shadow government stuff. And we used to go around and destroy the bases and send them white light and all of that stuff. So she's wonderful. And so she's got this whole army of reptilian rebel soldiers who are ready to overthrow the reptilian elite because they're not happy with the way that things have been as well, right? And I discovered that, I think it was back in September in one of those meetings. And so I asked her, I said, where are we at with this? And she said that everyone is waiting. They're all waiting to basically take action to overthrow the top of the pyramid, the elites. And I said, what are you waiting on? And she said, we are waiting on the tipping point. There are many tipping points. There are many tipping points, but there is a new tipping point moving forward. This is a timeline that for sure is pretty probable, and it's the tipping point of vaccines and mandatory vaccinations. So that's the tipping point. So what she said, and there's tipping points after that as well, if we don't make it, and hopefully we make it by then. And I keep seeing April, May, June. I see like around there, like May, June, somewhere around there. Anyway, she said that we have an opportunity as a collective to get to a certain place vibrationally before the tipping point of the mandatory vaccines. It's not whether or not they happen. That's not the tipping point. It's where our collective vibration is at before it happens. Okay? So getting yourself to a place where you're not holding any fear around them, where you're able to level up. Okay? And so, yeah, so that's the tipping point. So the interesting thing that she said is the whole reptilian army is waiting to overthrow for the tipping point. That is going to show the Galactic Federation. It's going to show the corrupt elites of society. And it should show the awakened ones within humanity where we're at based on our collective vibrational and fear frequency levels at that point in time when the vaccines are rolled out or what have you. Okay, not saying that they have to be, just saying that that's a probability. And so that's the tipping point. So if we're like, maybe not necessarily like lining up saying, sign me up, I'm the first to go, but not holding the fear around it, right? And having that higher perception and knowing how powerful we are, that will scare the fuck out of the elites. I'll tell you that right now, because that does not align to their agenda. That does not align to their timeline, right? That does not align to their projection. They think that we're weak. They think that we can't handle that. They think that we have fear, okay? So, yeah, just so interesting. So there's a tipping point there. She said that once we've got the collective, and it's going to take a lot of energy to get us to a place where we have a good perception around everything, not just the vaccines, but everything. When we're there, when we're at that point, that's go time for the Galactic Federation to swoop in. That's go time for the reptilian soldiers, the rebel soldiers, to uprise against their own, because the heart pains are like, ow, because humanity at a collective level are asking for it. Because we are asking for it, even at a subconscious level, even if we're all like, shit's got to change. Once we ask for it, once we focus on reform, once we focus on a better place to be at a collective level, that's when things actually start to happen. That's when the rebel soldiers can fight for us, not against us, but fight for us. And that's when the Galactic Federation can swoop in and help progress us, when we're all collectively asking for it and ready for it. And then also there was an emphasis as well on the collective meditations and how important the collective, global meditations are. I don't really participate in a whole lot of those, just because I do a lot of work on the other end of things. And so, I'm already projecting a lot out into the ethers, but there is an emphasis on, if you guys are interested, if you want, get together for whatever the days are for the collective meditations, right? And whatever organizations you like to follow for the collective meditations, those are really important as well. But make sure that the collective meditation isn't focused on polarity and it's focused on unity, right? So, okay, good. Okay, let's see if there's any final words, any last words, and then we will close up. Yeah, one. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Okay. Two things. Well, one thing really. But I want you guys to write these down. One, rewrite your value system. Two is rewrite your perception. Rewrite your value system and rewrite your perception. Okay. And what they said, they kept saying this year is a gift. This time is a gift. This year is a gift. This time is a gift. Where we're at is a huge gift. It's only a gift if you perceive it as such. You only transmute lower vibrations if you perceive them as higher vibrations. Okay? This is all a gift. The quarantine is a gift. The time that we have away from the norm is a gift. This whole virus, COVID, is a gift. It is. We need to start perceiving it as that to raise the vibration around it. Okay? And by holding that frequency of gratitude, you start to utilize the gift of your time and lockdown and quarantine and, lack of friend connections or family connections or whatever. You start utilizing that rather than wallowing in it of, woe is me, I can't do anything and this really sucks and I can't do it. You need to transition that. You need to transmute that. What we have is a gift. It's the gift of reforming the old system. It's the gift of collapsing the old system. It's the gift of focusing on the shadow side. It's the gift of reforming your own limiting beliefs. It's the gift of time that we have. It's the gift of separation from distraction, because you get to choose what you're focusing on. It's a gift. Everything that's happening right now, everything that happened in 2020, and everything that will happen in 2021 and beyond is a gift. And if you're not already seeing it as such, it's time to reformat your perception and your value system. Okay? Wow, I'm sure I could go on for another 3 hours. I feel like my voice is getting a little bit lost. But yeah, thank you all so much, whether you're here live or after for the recording. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate each and every one of you. Keep your vibration high. I'm going to continue into 2021 with monthly Galactic Federation meetings. I think that they are so valuable, so important, and clearly they're shifting us as we're just getting into it. So, and it keeps me accountable for checking into them and seeing where they're at. And I think that because the timelines are moving so rapidly, we need to stay on top of this. Like, I mean, it's like things are changing from one day to the next. Don't get sucked into the individual or the polarized. Always take a look at that higher perception and set your intentions for today on what it is that you want for the new year. All right. Bye, everyone. Love you all so, so much. Keep up the high vibes, and I'm sure I'll see you on Instagram or YouTube. Bye.